Jefferson, Luke, Kilgore. Good evening. Car Smith, thank you for the sub. What's going on, everybody? Here they come. Here they come. Hope you guys don't mind. I am currently eating dinner with you. Welcome. Thank you for coming to dinner. Oh yes, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I've had quite a roller coaster of shit going on since February, since the 90 days been up between travel, life changes, transitions, adjustments, getting back on the road with the indies, and getting married. So, yes, thank you. We're just working with a steak here, Richie. No eggs right now. My appetite's been not totally crazy lately. I don't think I'm eating very much, but I feel good. You know, I feel good. My neck's getting shorter and lighter. I feel good. Yeah, we put the wedding up today for people to be able to see. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to watch the full thing, I put up a YouTube link. It's on my channel, which can be found in the link tree and stuff like that. I put up the beginning of the video in Scarlett's Vows on Instagram and Twitter, I think. And yeah. Just over the moon about it. So, thank you. Matthew says already working off that wedding cake. Yes, that wedding cake was amazing. It was a gluten-free Earl Grey buttercream lemon cake.
With lemon custard.
Yeah, with lemon custard. It was fucking good. And let me tell you, the cake was almost frozen when we tried to cut it. And it was very difficult to get into in the moment.
You wanted ice cream cake.
I got a little fucking pissed, I'm not gonna lie. I did originally want ice cream cake.
You got it.
But I decided not to be a selfish piece of shit. And we got the breaded cake. And I'm glad we did. That was the best cake I've ever fucking had. It was good. And I almost ate the entire thing, almost. And then I began to deadlift it off. And I'm doing my low intensity cardio now to lose it. This is cake muscle. All the cake went to my shoulders and my neck. Amazing. We had, babe, what is that liquor called again? I always forget.
Mulled wine?
Mulled wine. It's like a warm cinnamon wine.
Think of it as hot sangria.
Hot sangria, she says.
Sangria.
It was fucking good. And for a guy who doesn't dabble much in the dark arts, I did enjoy an alcoholic beverage that day, especially given the climate. It was really fucking good. So, yeah, gotta live a little, you know? Trust me, I like my carnivore keto diet, targeted ketosis shit, but I also like being a human being from time to time and veering off course of the diet. That's kind of like the best part of the diet, is when you get to a place where you're happy and then you can kind of cut corners from time to time, but you can't let that shit get out of control. Can't do it. That's why we're eating steak at night. No more fucking cake. We enjoyed it, we had it, we appreciated it, and you gotta let it go. It's like a ride. It goes up and down, spins around, you do a fucking barrel roll, and then the ride is over and you gotta get off. You can't stay on the ride forever. You can't stay on that ride. Eventually you'll die. Or you'll have to go to the bathroom. You want to poop your pants on the ride? I don't. I don't want to do that. How's that for a metaphor? You gotta get off the ride at some point. Steak over cake, boys. J. James gets it. 422 in the house. Honey was pissed that she was not at the wedding, but she's here online making a special appearance. She knew, hello honey, she knew that she was gonna be, holy shit, we just got raided, didn't we? Dear God, welcome everybody. 260 people just showed up, thank you. I was just saying, my daughter always knows when she's gonna be on camera. She comes prepared. She combed her own fucking hair, you know what I mean? She practiced her lines. She had a cup of coffee. She's all pepped up, you know? All these congratulations. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you. Where the fuck did everybody come from? Did we get raided or did everyone just fly on here? That's wild. Yeah, we got a little doggo here. Honey the Pomeranian from Pomerania. I don't think I'm that much of a suck. I'm a human being, you know, I have heartstrings to tug on, but Scarlett had pretty good wedding vows. You did. They're pretty good.
And I knew it was gonna be cold as shit, so I wrote them down because I thought my brain was gonna stop.
Which was smart.
Yeah.
Which was smart. Her wedding vows got me a little choked up.
But I didn't succeed in making you cry.
No, you didn't.
I tried.
You didn't. You failed at making me cry on our wedding day.
I did.
I won.
I'll make you cry another day.
Shut up. What you guys didn't see was after the wedding, Scarlett hit me in the fucking head with a chair, but I no-sold it, and it just stood there, and I blankly stared at her. I got good color too, but I just no-sold it. Because I'm fucking, you know, hardcore.
It's the best life advice. Just no sell everything.
Yeah. Best life advice, no sell everything.
You can smack me out with the tricks, no sell it.
Yes. So. No, in all sincerity, you know, I like to fuck around with you guys out here, but, you know, I oftentimes think that we are nothing more than just entertainment for some people, but there are some people that you are entertaining, that you do a little bit more than just that for them. And we do sincerely both appreciate the support that we get from all of you. It's a weird synergy. You know, we go out there with the intention to entertain you guys. We go out there with an intention to provide something for you, but you guys also provide something back for us. You know, and I've said this on here before, but performing in front of nobody during the pandemic shit was really, really difficult. It was really difficult. And I knew it was gonna be difficult, not having an audience there, but we vibe off that shit. It's for the same reason that I keep coming back here every single week with you guys. It's, there's a synergy that we feed off of. It's good vibes. It's a good feeling, you know? So, we appreciate all the support, all the positive energy. Sincerely, we really do. And so does Honey. Honey appreciates it. She's a good girl. Somebody just wanted me to notify you that your last name is now Rabbit. We are Mr. and Mrs. Rabbit.
That's not bad.
Are you all right with that?
I'll take it.
You'll take it? You take my finish?
Fuck it.
You gonna no-sell it?
Yep, of course.
Fucking going into business for yourself. Fucking carny. Honey's not a carny.
Honey sells everything.
She sells it all. How did you and Scarlett meet? Well, we were in Orlando at Universal Studios on set for a wrestling show. We met backstage. I shook her hand, I introduced myself, and I told her, get away from me. I said, never come into my personal space again.
Yeah, that's not exactly what happened.
That's not exactly what happened. But then she looked at me, and then she was like, shut up, boy.
Tell him the truth was.
And then she levitated away. That's the truth. You think I'm lying?
You saw me, you thought I was hot, and then later on they didn't know if they were gonna make me a wrestler, announcer, manager, whatever it was. They wanted to see me in this Romanian character, so I had a brown wig and glasses. So then I changed later on, had a brown wig and glasses. You thought I was hot as a blonde and as a brunette.
That's true.
You're like, oh, what was that?
That is true.
And then we stayed away from each other for like a really long time after that because we were both like, oh, this guy's hot.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I don't think of myself as like a fucking wild dog or anything, but I was thinking at the time, admittedly, I was like, holy shit, there's a lot of really attractive fucking women around here. And then I realized I just saw her twice. I saw her fucking twice. The first time I saw her, she had a fucking wig on. I didn't know her. So I was just like, holy shit, I'm having a day. I don't know what's going on here. And then when I realized it was her in a wig, I was like, all right, cool. So I'm not on one. I'm not losing my mind. That was the same person. I felt, less like an animal. So it all worked out. That's how we met. So, but yeah, and here we are. Coffee Seeds, thank you very much for the sub. The Ronnie Mac, I understand why you were unsure about releasing the wedding footage because people have a hard time separating KILLERkross and Scarlett from Kevin and Elizabeth. Maybe a little bit, but I mean, that wasn't really the main reason why I was apprehensive in releasing the footage anyways. It was more like, my initial thoughts about it was like, we give literally everything to perform and to entertain people. And initially the way I felt about it, I was like, I would just like to have a couple things in my life that are privately mine, that I don't have to share with anybody. But then after we went through the process of it, and we saw what the videographer had done with the footage and stuff like that, we talked about it, we thought about it, it was like, no, you know what, like, I don't know, her and I are just in a different place now as people than we were a couple years ago. And I was thinking with that mindset of a couple of years ago. And I don't know, like, we love you guys. So, that was for the people that love us back. You know what I mean? So that's kind of our thought process of where we were coming from with that. I think it's a mistake sometimes to trying to live around the hypothetical people that you never want to run into, the hypothetical people that want to fuck with you or take something you said or done out of context and create this out of context version of you. We don't have to live around those fucking people. Fuck those people. They're nuts. If we want to do something, we want to be happy and embrace the positivity of a situation or a scenario, I think people should be able to find a way to do that without having to live in fear of whack jobs, And so we embraced that. And that was sort of the train of thought about it. I've always tried to treat wrestling fans as smart people. I understand that not all wrestling fans are smart people. I understand that not all people who watch movies are not hyper-intellectuals. Not everyone is a hyper-intellectual, nor do they want to be, and that's completely okay. I have days where I can't even form a fucking a coherent sentence. I don't necessarily think I live in hyper-intellectual mode, Like, I don't have that pretentious state of mind, but I do like to think that if people do not want to see what we're like outside of the ring and the characters that we play on TV, then they will not seek out what we are like in real life. I think that everyone on here who comes on here and does this with me every week, I think that we're all on the same page with shit. You know what I mean? You guys know what it is that you're watching, and you guys are still able to appreciate it. It's like, I remember I'll share a story with you. This kind of falls in the realm of mental health. So when I was a little boy, maybe I was like 6 years old, 7 years old, I was at my friend's house. We were watching wrestling on TV, and his cousin came over who was like 14 or 15. And this kid was in the mode as a teenager where he liked to expose everything, That's not the way it really is. Santa Claus isn't real. The Easter Bunny's not fucking real. he was that kid who was living in like this suspended state of shock and misery about like all of the things that are not real about fucking life. And he wanted to talk to us about like JFK getting shot, and like we're like fucking kids, like this shit's over our heads, right? But wrestling was on, and boy, did he have to fucking swoop in at 6 or 7 years old and tell us that wrestling was not real. And we did not want to hear it. We were like, fuck you. Like at 6 or 7 years old, we're like, fuck you. It is real. And he's like, no, it's not. Put on whatever match you want, and I'll show you how it's not real. And he's like going up to the fucking TV, and he's like, rewind it. It was on a VCR. And you know, he's trying to show us how people are pulling their punches and their kicks, and how certain things didn't land right, or like the guy's, you know, swinging the chair at somebody and he's decelerating the chair, and he had to like break apart and pull apart this whole fucking thing. And he's like, see, it's fake, it's so fake, no one would ever do that, blah, blah, blah. And you know, this guy just wanted to just kill the fun that we were having with this. You know, he wasn't even trying to help us or expand the way we were seeing things. He was not doing this in a way where he was attempting to help us. He wanted to take something away from us. He wanted to take something that we were enjoying away from us. He was like that miserable fucking kid who wanted other people to be miserable with him. If he saw any sort of opportunity to point out something that was wrong, he had to do it. And oddly enough, we live in a fucking society now where everyone does that, which is weird. But for me, it didn't ruin wrestling for me. I actually became even more fascinated about how people were creating this. My buddy was kind of indifferent about it. He didn't really care. He was just like, well, you know, I still enjoy it. Chris Welch, one of the oldest friends I ever had. And it didn't remove me from what I enjoyed about it. My perspective of it changed. And he was wearing like a Terminator shirt. And I couldn't help but notice, even at a young age, the irony in this. And I was like, so you don't like wrestling because, you know, for you, you look at this and you think it's fake? He's like, yeah, fuck wrestling. And I was like, but you're wearing a Terminator shirt. And he's like, so? And I was like, but like, dude, Terminator's not real. Arnold Schwarzenegger is a fucking bodybuilder who can't even fucking like, you know, hit a baseball. You know, he's not like a real athlete. You know, bodybuilding sure is a sport, but like he's not gonna, you know, be able to play soccer, run up and down a field for a whole fucking game. Maybe can't dribble a ball for a whole basketball game. Probably can't shoot 3 points. I started going down the whole list, intellectually breaking it down to him, and I watched him, just his posture broke and his shoulders started fucking folding in, and I was like, so I went full circle back to Terminator. It's a movie, it's not real. You know, so shouldn't you not like Terminator 2? He's like, well, it's just not the same. I'm like, no, but the guns they're firing don't even have real bullets. There's laser guns in the fucking movie, there's time traveling, that's not real. This guy's a fucking robot. You're criticizing something and you're trying to ruin something for people on the premise that it's not real, but you like fucking Terminator. Wrestling is far more real than Terminator, let me tell you. And I like both, and I think it's okay to like this despite your view on it. And my buddies and I have always laughed about that story because I was able to do that at 6 or 7 years old, and I still do that to this day. I was able to just take it apart, assess it, look at it, and call it for what it is. And you just watch people, sometimes there's just nothing under their surface statements. And when you try to get into the conversation with them and you realize that there's no substance to anything they're fucking saying, they just have nothing to say. And I just always thought that was funny, you know? There's a story for you. A little rant. Red Behemoth, thank you very much for the sub. Tusslemania's here. Tusslemania was at Jiu-Jitsu tonight. Daniel Gracie's here in Orlando. He attempted to Kimura me, and I made sure that he failed. But it was good Kimura. Perhaps next time, monsieur, you will try again. The week before that, you went for some wacky triangle choke, too. Some sort of head scissors or something. You and your fucking head scissors. You wild boy. Prop, thank you for the compliments on the suit. I wore thermals underneath my my wedding suit to make sure that it didn't freeze to death. Scarlett is a mutant, half human, half mutant, half vampire, so she was able to survive in that climate, not wearing any thermals. My full circle point being is like, I know I went off on a fucking story. That was a story. My full circle point to all of that was just like, you guys understand what you're watching. And I think that there is a line that people should understand where it is as performers, you know. You like a good program, you like to see people commit into their characters, commit into their work in the ring. There's an appreciation for that. But you don't want your intelligence insulted. I don't think that you want to feel like you're being misled. You don't want to be deceived, right? There's enough of that in the world. People pretending to be something or someone they're not. And I just think there's a time when the lights and the music go on, I will become who that needs to be. But in the meantime, I'm gonna fucking sit here and eat steak and enjoy myself with you guys. I'm gonna swear a lot and we're gonna joke around and have a fucking good time. Call me crazy. I'm crazy. WWE fanboy Justin 316. That is a handle. Question. But with you and Scarlett being professional wrestlers, injury-wise, was there ever any moments in both of your careers where you sustained an injury where you thought that your wrestling career was over and send you into early retirement? I have never been injured in such a way where I thought it was over. Scarlett, have you ever been hurt so bad that you thought your career might be over? No.
I don't do things that are that dangerous.
Yeah. We both kind of understand how to take care of ourselves and other people through different situations and circumstances. Mind you, accidents do happen. Most of us all understand our lanes of how to keep people safe and protected, but God willing, that has not happened yet. Thank God. Happened yet. Hopefully it does not happen. Jack Holiday, thank you very much for the sub. Stinger Nitro, how are you, man? Nice to see you again. Enforcer Stevie B says, congrats on the wedding. Love your Jesse Ventura impression. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know who that is. Who is Jesse the Body Ventura? How long have you had that in your back pocket? Well, the first thing you need to understand is Jesse the Body Ventura doesn't have back pockets. He has a satchel with grenades. I don't know, man. Sometimes I just hear people talking and I just know before I do it that I can emulate their voice. And then sometimes I can't. Sometimes I need to hear it and then I can do it. Even though I've been able to do it a bunch of times, I don't know. When I was a kid, when people were really annoying, when they were really annoying me and I wanted to annoy them back, I would imitate them, and that's when I realized I had a knack for imitating people. So it just kind of started like that. Okay. The Moda Boat is the name of the handle. Hey Cross, what workouts were you doing when you first started wrestling? I hope to start training. Explosiveness and mobility was really, really important. It still is important to me, but it was paramount. For the size that I was, I needed to be able to go from 0 to 100 very quickly when I had to fucking put the heat on somebody. So I still had one foot in the door of mixed martial arts, and I was training full time at Vanderlei's and at Syndicate. I was overtraining and I was under eating. I was training MMA 4 days a week. So I was basically in pro camps. Then I was doing the weight training and conditioning program, which was circuit training, to answer your question directly. So I would do like 30 seconds at a station, and I would do like 6 stations timed with like 10-second rest between each station for like 12 rounds. So it'd be body weight squats, lunges, the jammer press, chin-ups, full body sit-ups where your legs are planked and you sit all the way up and then you lay back down, farmer's walk, a bunch of shit like that. But it was basically to build my cardio, maintain strength, endurance. That's kind of what I was doing in the beginning. And then I was doing pro wrestling training 5 days a week where I was just in the ring and moving and learning how to navigate and understand my body with the canvas and learning psychology and stuff like that. I wouldn't recommend to anyone to do it the way I did, and it's a miracle that I didn't get hurt the way I did. I'm just built a little bit differently. I was able to handle that at my age, and the preconditioning that I had going into pro wrestling school helped me keep up with the workload I created for myself to advance a little bit faster. You have to listen to your body intuitively, but I would tell you, do not lift heavy weights and train pro wrestling at the same time. Because if you are not sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night and getting the proper amount of hydration and caloric intake, you're going to get injured. And one thing that wrestling schools typically are not equipped to do is provide people with the diet that they should be on while they're training to match the frequency of how often they're training. And that's typically why people get hurt. They're overtraining and underslept. Again, guys, thank you very much for everyone's well wishes and all the congratulations. I've seen just a ton of it. I really appreciate it. The Luke wants to know, do most pro wrestlers go to college after high school, or do they go straight to wrestling school? Case by case, man. Some people start wrestling at like 16 years old. They start in classes that are offered to minors if the school offers that. Some people like myself decide to get into it around 26, 27. It's case by case. There's no general, handbook to that sort of deal. Just reading your questions, guys. Vicious Malfunk, thank you very much for the sub. Cam's on here with a sub. What's going on, man? Cam said, pretty rich, you sub. Thank you. Any advice on good shoulder-focused routines? Building my strength, and I'm interested in your advice. All right, so building shoulders. Let's get into this. We're in Health Hour. So when you talk about building shoulders, I'm assuming that you're talking about creating size in your shoulder. The shoulder is a very small muscle, and it's comprised of 3 heads, okay? You have the front head. That's gonna be basically right here. I got tattoos, you won't even see it. I got a little bit of separation here so you can see. This whole thing right here is the front head. My body fat percentage is down right now, so you can see the separation. That's your front head. And then the lateral head begins from here, right? That's the lateral, it's a little bit bigger. And then your rear delt is gonna be that boy right there. That little potato in the back of my fucking arm there. I can't fucking reach it, but you see. 3 heads, okay? You're gonna wanna train all 3 heads. You may hear advice from somebody else about this, but I'm telling you, what I'm about to tell you is to make sure that you don't wind up completely collapsing your fucking shoulder socket, lifting super heavy. It's not necessary. Yes, your shoulders will probably get bigger if you lift heavy on them. Yes, they will. But there is a reasonable amount of probability that you are going to fucking break your shoulder or tear a ligament or a tendon, and then you're gonna go so fucking far in the opposite direction, you're gonna wish you never trained shoulders. What I would advise you to do, for starters, this is the first thing I tell everyone. Anytime they're ever trying to change their body composition, you need to make sure that you are hydrated. What is the easiest way to know you're hydrated? A little gross, but let's be fucking adults here, man. If your urine is yellow, you're fucking dehydrated. So anytime you ever have to go to the bathroom, if you're peeing yellow, you're probably fucking dehydrated. I would start off trying to measure your water in the most basic way. 6 to 8 bottles of water a day is not a bad start. That may sound like a lot. In the grand scheme of shit, it really isn't. If you have 1 to 2 bottles of water with your meals, before or after, it's very easy to do this. You gotta begin drinking water like maintenance. Why? Because your body is primarily water. I think it's over 85% of your body is fucking water. You need it. Being hydrated is going to promote joint health. It's gonna promote energy. It's gonna promote being in a good mood. You're dehydrated, it throws off everything in your body. People have gone into bouts of depression. They have anxiety. Mentally are not well just from being dehydrated. So that's the first thing I'm gonna tell you. I know you're asking about shoulders, but I'm gonna tell you right now, get hydrated first. You will have a better workout and you will actually grow faster being hydrated. You're dehydrated, it's gonna take you a lot longer to grow and recover from your workouts. That's the first thing. Pink Himalayan salt is an excellent way to stay hydrated. Putting a little bit of sodium in your water. I'm not saying you have to salt your water, but fucking salt your food with pink Himalayan salt. It's a naturally occurring salt from the earth. It has minerals and electrolytes in it. It's very good for you. Potassium, sodium, very good to have in your diet. You have to begin monitoring that. Once you get your water intake and your hydration correct and it's on point for the day, you go work out.
What used to tell me when I would go to the PC and I would be talking to you about all the girls in my class and how everyone's super sore and how that had to do with dehydration.
Yeah, so not throwing any heat at the PC. I'm just saying everybody trains really fucking hard at the Performance Center. You cannot get away with going to the Performance Center and doing anything half-assed. It's not happening. But it is really detrimental to people's health if they are training anywhere from 2 to 4 to 6 hours total throughout the day, and no one is making them drink fucking water. They're not talking about it, they're not promoting it, no one's really talking to them about their diet. Like, if you want people to perform at a certain level, there has to be certain things mandatory in your diet to recover. And so she was saying, you know, a lot of the people she was training with were really, really struggling.
They wouldn't bring gallons of water with them.
Yeah.
Or they'd bring a tiny bottle, and they wouldn't even sip it.
Yeah, you go to a wrestling practice and you bring 1 fucking bottle of water with you or 2 bottles and you're sipping on it. It's like, it's not good for you. You know,
And you're not a baby for stopping to take water breaks. Don't let anyone ever think to make you feel like, oh, because you're drinking water that you're being a pussy. That's bullshit.
yeah, drink water. You'll definitely be happy that you did that rather than not drinking water and maybe have a fucking stroke. Anyways, shoulders. You go into the you go and you want to train them. You have to train all 3 heads of the shoulder. Very basic to start off. If you're new to training shoulders, grab small dumbbells. I don't know where you're at with strength and whatnot. So let's say, pick a weight of a dumbbell that you know you can pretty much be good at 12 reps, and then you got to put it down. Start working high volume on your shoulders. So not like a death weight where you can only pick it up 4 or 5 times. That's not necessary for your shoulders. The very first exercise you can do for your shoulders to hit the front head would be a front raise. So it's basically you're picking the dumbbells up in front of you, your fingers are down, and you're gonna raise them all the way up. I'm gonna say all the way up to here above your head. And then they're gonna be controlled going all the way back down. That's called a front raise. It can work the front of your shoulder. Your hand can be here, fingers down, or it can be here. I would say 3 sets of 12 to start of that. Then you're gonna move on to lateral raises. You're gonna basically be picking the dumbbells up from here, fingers facing towards you, and you're gonna be raising them up just like this. And then they come back down towards your sides. Everything is nice and controlled and slow, literally at this tempo. 3 sets, 12 reps. Then I would go for a military press with the dumbbells. Yeah, so you're gonna be at 90 degrees, and then you're just gonna go straight up. The dumbbells are going up over your head, and you're gonna bring them back down. Everything is nice and controlled. That's also gonna be hitting the lateral head, but it's also gonna be working your upper trapezius and a little bit of your rear delts and scapula contraction between your shoulder blades. It'll help with posture and all different types of shit. 3 sets of 12 reps. Then, I'm not gonna be able to do this in front of you here with all this, but you're gonna bend over at 90 degrees, making sure that your spine is straight back. Bend over at 90 degrees, you're doing rear delt flies, rear deltoid flies, where the weight would be in front of you, and then you're going backwards. You're working against gravity. 3 sets of 12 reps. Those 4 exercises, you're going to hit all 3 heads. And I would just start with that and literally do that for 6 months, and you will see development in your shoulders. But again, I stress to you, I can talk to you about workouts, I can talk to you about exercises, I can talk to you about the sequence that you're gonna do things in forever. For me, that's fucking easy. But what happens before you're going to the gym and what happens afterwards is gonna determine what sort of results you're gonna get. And I wanna stress that to you and everyone listening. And that goes for any sort of muscle group that you're engaging or working on. You gotta make sure you're right before you go. And then you gotta make sure you take care of yourself afterwards. That will determine all of the results that you're gonna wanna see. The workout part's fucking easy. Once you nail that down, fucking easy. But knowing the amount of macronutrients that you need to hit your goals, finding a way to determine that, which we can talk about, you know, learning about that type of stuff is where the masterclass shit is at in determining that. And I'll always be here on here to help you guys with that if you begin to learn how to formulate those questions and ask me. So front raises, lateral raises, military press, rear delt flies. That is your shoulder. That will build strength. And doing that in a realm of 3 sets, 12 reps. You don't need to do any more. Don't go so heavy that you can't hit 12. You'll be safe. And that would be my advice, take it or leave it. Oh wow, listen to this shit. J James 422 says, I emailed 2K Games about your broken cross jacket in 2K222. And they actually got back to me and patched it in the game. Pretty cool, shout out to V-Games. I liked everyone who was working on that game. I had met them when they screened Scarlet and I. Very cool people. They give a shit about making a good wrestling game. I think a very good close friend of mine, Chris Bay, I don't know, but I think he did the motion capture for that game, and I think he did some of my motion capture stuff, which is awesome. I've known him forever, many years. I think it's cool. It's a small world. A close friend of mine, I was there for his first day of training, and now he's doing motion capture for me at WWE games. It's very fucking cool. So, Jay James, thank you for calling in and fixing it up. Hopefully it improved the mechanics of the game, and I would have called him and said, listen, nobody ever really got out of a cross jacket once he locked it in. So I think once he does it to the character should be out of the game forever. That's maybe like cross jacket forever mode, where you have to put every single person on the roster in a cross jacket and then they're non-playable. No, too much? Too crazy? Let me eat some steak. Let me eat some fucking steak here. To quote Commander Shepard, I fucking love steak. Did you eat your steak, kid?
Most of it.
Oh,
You can have the rest.
I will. Matthew Sawyer wants to know, was that a Dodge Challenger that you drive on NXT? Oh, was it yours? Yes, I've had that car. That was the very first car I'd ever paid off. And I got that car back in 2013. And I brought it here from Vegas. It is my car. I was a kid growing up with, you guys remember that stupid show, Knight Rider? It's not stupid, but it is stupid. I was pre-programmed as a kid to love the big, black, fast cars. Batmobile, Knight Rider, Trans Am. I grew up and I was just like, look, I'll be happy with whatever fucking car I have. I'm not gonna be a car snob, but it would be pretty cool to have a Dodge Challenger. And so I did whatever I had to do working wise to make that happen before I had anything to do with wrestling. And I was bodyguarding and bouncing and running doors and all kinds of crazy shit, nightlife industry. Saved my money up and got the car. So yes, it is mine. Jeremy Thurber, I have had a really great mental health day, and this is a perfect way to cap it off. Thank you so much for putting this stream together. It's my pleasure, man, and thank you for jumping on. Thank you. Wyatt Meister. One of the biggest things that separates movies from wrestling, and I think everybody here can agree with me on this statement, actors have stunt doubles for dangerous scenes and spots in a film, and then pro wrestlers do not. What do you think? Oh, Ash Cruz, this is a great question. What are your thoughts on cold therapy for fat loss, like cold water showers or ice packs on the back of the neck, maybe? I don't know anything about that, but I do know this. I had a very bad leg injury a few years ago. I was dealing with it for 1.5 to 2 years. I didn't really tell many people about it. It was one of the reasons why I switched to tights, because I was wrapping my leg under the tights. And I was doing cryotherapy, and I can tell you right now, cryotherapy sped up the process of healing probably by like a couple years. I did cryotherapy every day. I know it's expensive, but I wanted to get better. And I've told you guys I live in extremes, and I'm not afraid to fully commit into something to get results faster. So I spent the money and I did cryotherapy every day. I got hooked up with a good membership over in Vegas. A wrestler, former wrestler named Rush, a guy named Gary, ran a cryotherapy and tanning salon, and he gave me a good deal, and I went in and I got cryotherapy quite a bit. In the process of that, I noticed that my waistline went down, and I didn't change the way I was eating, and I wasn't doing more cardio. Fuck, I couldn't actually do much more cardio than I was doing. But I did notice I lost a lot of weight on my midsection of my hips from doing cryotherapy. And I did notice actually that my face got tighter as well. So then I did some more research on cryotherapy, because I was originally doing it for the health benefits of lowering deep tissue inflammation, which was the issue that I was having in my leg. I couldn't massage it, and an ice pack, I couldn't get to the inflammation in my leg. So I can tell you right now, cold therapy is a real fucking thing. It's not a scam, it 100% works, but you need to be able to get to the tissue, you know, to actually apply the temperature change to lower the inflammation, and cryotherapy can do that. Way better than an ice pack can. But yeah, I did lose weight doing cryotherapy. When I looked into it, I think it said you can burn, depending on how long you do the cryotherapy for, because it's a time allotted thing. It could be anywhere from like 2 to 4 minutes. You can burn anywhere from 200 to 650 calories a session just doing cryotherapy. Is this for me?
Yes.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you very much. What is this?
Apple cinnamon.
Oh, I love apple cinnamon. She just made me tea in an outstanding mug.
I'm gonna go take a bath. Enjoy your tea.
Now you're taking a bath?
Yeah.
Bastard.
Eat me in a little bit.
I will. Red Behemoth. Oh, by the way, I mentioned the Keto Journey on here a few weeks back. Changed his handle. And the ashwagandha root recommendation has really helped. So far, Journey is going good, slowly getting back into working out again. Excellent. And sign up for a BJJ class, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, for people who do not know. Appreciate the tips and of course your time here. Always my pleasure. I fucking love reading stuff like that. And more on that, not directly, but going to these live shows and these conventions, I meet people now all the time from our Twitch streams at the conventions. I know that's becoming a reoccurring thing that I'm saying, but literally every week I'm there, I meet somebody new, and that's fucking awesome. Being able to hear people's stories and how it's helping and stuff like that, that's the goal. So thanks for trying it out, and I'm even happier to know that it's working. Super Mopa, did Beetlejuice wish you a congratulations yet? He hasn't, but you know, that's so Beetlejuice of him, you know? Beetlejuice is a big superstar and I just have to respect that, you know? That's like, you know, Tom Cruise wishing you, you know, congratulations or something, you know? Got a lot of shit going on. Beetlejuice is big time. Pretty Richie says, how much cardio would you recommend doing when working out consistently? So, Brian Cage is a good friend of mine, and I just recently had a conversation with him about this. We were actually at the convention together in Indianapolis. And so, I was telling him the amount of cardio that I do with combat sports, being involved with jiu-jitsu, doing compound lifting and stuff like that, you know, I monitor my heart rate. And usually when I'm training, my heart rate is usually over 130 beats per minute for anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. And it maintains at that level. My normal resting heart rate is very low. I believe my heart rate resting is like 47 beats a minute. I've always been an endurance athlete. My heart just does not have to work very hard to circulate a lot of blood to my body because it's very well conditioned. It's not under stress. I've always had a low resting heart rate. I used to be a runner before I was a wrestler. I just, not even as a sport, I just used to fucking run everywhere as a kid. I loved running. I would rollerblade, I would fucking do monkey bars. I loved being active. I wasn't like a fucking super sports kid, but I just loved to play and be active. I loved tag. Anything we were running, I was the ultimate warrior as a kid. Just want to run everywhere. Chase cars and shit. So I told him, I said I should be a lot leaner. And then we were discussing some case studies that we've read and through practical application as well. Cage was telling me that low intensity cardio has actually, the studies are out now globally, low intensity cardio over long periods, for instance, walking or like a brisk jog or an elliptical or something like that, seems to be more effective in burning body fat and changing your body composition than high intensity cardio. And we've always been under the impression for at least like 80 years through other case studies. I don't know how the fuck they went out the window now, but they did. So who knows the fuck that's about. But you would think that going harder and doing more naturally would get you to the desired result and goal, you know, more extreme look, faster than fucking walking for 45 minutes, 7 days a week. But turns out it doesn't. It just, your body responds differently to certain types of resistance and training and stuff like that. So to directly answer your question, you're saying how much cardio would you recommend doing when working out consistently? It depends what sort of look you're going for. If you're doing cardio for your heart, brother, honestly, I think a brisk jog for 20 to 25 minutes, 3 days a week would be fine if you're doing it for heart health. If you're doing it for vanity and aesthetics and you just want to be fucking Rick Rude and neck breaker the whole fucking planet, you just put the fucking planet up here and you tell everybody to shut their mouths while you take your fucking robe off, then I would say do low intensity cardio 7 days a week, no matter what you're doing working out. Low intensity cardio is like 45 minutes, put on a podcast or a documentary on your phone or watch TV or listen to a new album of music or get an audiobook or something. You got to get preoccupied because you're going to get bored as fuck doing this. But if you can do 7 days a week of 45 minutes of walking, or like an elliptical, if you don't like the way walking feels on your feet, your shoes suck or whatever, you have high arches or something, you have plantar fasciitis or your knees bother you or something, an elliptical will be just fine. 7 days a week, 45 minutes of walking, you will get super lean. And it will not hurt your ability to recover or gain muscle. That is a myth. The only time doing cardio is going to prevent you from gaining muscle is if actually you're doing high intensity cardio and you're putting yourself into a calorie deficit and you're not sleeping well. Like overtraining can actually lead to not being able to get into a well-rested sleep. And so now the question becomes, what the fuck is overtraining? Because there will be super high level athletes that will tell you, and they might be right for themselves, but not for regular human beings, that there's no such thing as overtraining. You're gonna land into overtraining when you are malnourished, if your caloric needs are not meeting the amount of energy that you're putting out to train, and you're not sleeping enough. You'll feel it. You will look like fucking Bram Stoker's Dracula. Your eyes will be sunk into your fucking head. You will need caffeine to stay focused. You will be irritable and you will have brain fog. That's when you know you're overtraining. So that all happens when you are not giving your body what it needs to recover calorically and through, a basic amino acid profile. BCAAs, great to take, by the way, branched chain amino acids, the powder. But giving your body what it needs to sustain what you're asking it to do every week is going to determine all of this shit. For fun, I would tell you, if you can spare the time, 7 days a week, 45 minutes of walking, you will see some serious fucking changes in about 3 to 4 weeks. I'm telling you. Ronnie Mack, any advice on dealing with long-term shoulder rotator cuff pain with DDPY and resistance bands? I have kept at it, but once I lay off that, it starts to get aggravated. Just around the left neck, shoulder, and chest. It's been a reoccurring thing for years. It stopped me from powerlifting long-term. Dude, I would say if you haven't already yet, get an MRI on your shoulder. See if they can find any scar tissue where you've had previous partial tears. It sounds like you have a partial tear. If you have a partial tear in a ligament or a tendon or even a muscle, your body produces scar tissue basically to bind wherever the tear is. And the problem with scar tissue, and this is why a certain part of our body winds up hurting for a long time when we've had a partial tear. The problem with scar tissue is that it's not as flexible or mobile as the original tissue that was there before. It's a little harder. So when you try to use that area, the scar tissue that's binded itself into your original tissue, which is flexible and mobile, etc., there's always going to be that tension because the scar tissue is never going to, you can try to break it down, you can use Graston and you can use different types of technique to build and break down and wear the tissue in. You only get so much out of that. You'll always be a little sore there, I think. But to be sure, dude, you need to get an MRI and have a look at what's going on the inside and then be able to determine from there. Someone just recently tonight asked me about a shoulder injury and how to train around that and stuff. And I would tell people, if your shoulders are bothering you, forget about dumbbells, forget about kettlebells, and switch over to band work. And if you want, you can do cable work, but it's got to be all high volume. Because chances are the muscles in your shoulder typically are not the problem. It sounds like you've already been able to identify that you have a rotator cuff issue. And obviously things are getting tight because it's pulling on your neck and your chest and stuff like that. I would look into a series of videos. You need to cross-reference a bunch of videos on doing, what is the word I'm looking for? Basically shoulder rehab for the injury you think you had. Watch 6 or 7 different videos from different people and take what the most reoccurring activities are and build a program for yourself with bands. Forget about the dumbbells. Just forget about it. Because it sounds like any sort of rotator cuff issue, you have maybe some sort of, I don't think you have a collapsed joint, but obviously everything that's holding that shit together is seemingly aggravated from time to time. I would love to tell you that hopefully it's just a dietary thing, like maybe when you have ice cream or you have processed sugar, the shoulder inflames, you notice the next day or something like that if you're eating it at night. That does happen to some people, but you sound pretty educated on what you sent to me, so I'm gonna assume that you have a better grasp on it than it being aggravated by dietary stuff. But watch your processed sugars and see if you notice that your shoulder's bothering you based on processed foods that you're eating. Because I notice that any part of my body that I have scar tissue on, when I eat bullshit food, the area gets tight. That's a real fucking thing. That's a real thing. When I eat clean and my carbs are low, it's like I've never been hurt in my life. Just something I've noticed. I know everybody's different, but I have inflammatory responses to foods that I'm not supposed to be eating. And by inflammatory, I don't mean like I'm blowing my ass out on the toilet or throwing up. I mean like parts of my body fucking hurt, like where I've like had injuries before. And that was one of the main reasons for anyone who's new to me or hasn't heard this before, one of the main reasons why I actually jumped to keto diet and then eventually went just straight to carnivore. I physically feel very well. I'm not eating carnivore or keto for the aesthetics. I actually just feel better eating this way. Any good reading material for intake and muscle building and health? I know basics, but I'm new to lifting and trying to build. I want to refer you to a guy who invented the vertical diet. His name is Stan Efferding. The vertical diet is what you're looking for. This question came from Stress Jachilles. Stress_Jachilles. Sorry if I butchered your name. The vertical diet, it would be the thing that you're looking for if you're looking to build muscle. All I'm going to tell you is, and do not forget that I said this, don't get carried away with your fucking carbs. I got on the vertical diet to recover my shoulder. I went into a calorie surplus and I put on some very bad weight and crashed my metabolism because my body was not used to having that much carbs. Remember that carbohydrates spike your insulin, and as everyone's heard me say a million times on here, when your insulin is spiked, that's a storage hormone. So if you're eating more than you're burning off, you will get bigger, but that carbohydrate that you're eating and not burning off will convert into body fat, and that might not be what you're looking for. So monitor your fucking carb intake. The vertical diet is what you're looking for. Look it up on YouTube or on Instagram. Stan Efferding is the guy who created it. Only listen to him about this. Ronnie Mack, when do the main compact power lifts or compound lifts in a workout? When you do the, what are you saying? Say your deadlifts, bench, and squat. Is there any need to use machines as well during the same workout, or are you just overexhausting yourself and your body at the same time? So I'm gonna rephrase your question to what I think you're asking me. Outside of compound lifts, deadlift, squat, bench, should have said military press, motherfucker. And I think chin-ups should be in there as well, my opinion. Outside of those, you're asking me if you should do machines as well or do anything else. It's up to however you envision yourself developing. I've said this before on here. When I was a kid, I looked up to the way comic book characters look, like the X-Men and Batman, before I looked up to like movie stars or like professional athletes on TVs or something like that. I wanted to look like the way Todd McFarlane was drawing fucking Spider-Man when I was little. You know, I wanted to look like a Todd McFarlane character when I grew up. And yeah, like Ultimate Warrior looked awesome and all the wrestlers, and they were sort of a template. But when I was little, I wanted to look like a fucking freak. So, and there was another artist on here, Prop, you might know this. I'm trying to drop his name. And Dexter Loomis, we used to talk about this guy as well, Frank something. I'm embarrassed that I can't remember his last name. He's a very famous artist. He used to draw the Conan the Barbarian shit. I don't want to say his last name because I don't think it's his last name. Frank something. He was a very famous artist. He used to draw women very athletically too. I thought it was the most, to me, it was the most attractive body type I had ever seen on a woman in illustration. And very realistic too. But it's all about how you want to develop, right? And again, you have to find a common ground intuitively. Do you feel well with the way that you're working out? When you're leaving the gym, do you feel like you could have done more? If the answer is yes, that's okay. Not every day has to be a day where you go and you redline yourself. Let's be honest. If you train your fucking guts out 7 days a week, that's a rough fucking week. You wake up very sore. You gotta stretch. You gotta take a fucking bath. You probably can't hit that muscle group more than twice that week. You feel like shit. Not every week, in my opinion, is meant to be the week where you put your foot all the way down to the gas. You have to do this with like peaks and valleys, you know what I mean? You can't train like that all the time, nor should you. You burn out your central nervous system, your brain is firing out those fucking signals all week. You're gonna notice you're gonna need more caffeine. It's about how you wanna develop, you know? It's okay to have certain days when you go to the gym, and I'm not saying that it's okay to go through the motions, because then you'd be wasting your fucking time. You have to have a mind-muscle connection, like I've talked about previously. You really need to be focusing on it and thinking about the muscle that you're attempting to contract and getting the full contraction out of it, holding it and working the negative on the return. All of that stuff is really important if that's what your goals are, to develop your muscles. To stand there and just fucking do this, I mean, just stay home. You know, and we all know people, and some of us have done that. I've done that in the past, right? I went to the gym because like, oh, I don't want to be here today, and I'm just gonna go because I know I'm gonna be pissed if I don't, and I lifted weights like an asshole. I wasted my fucking time. You don't want to do that. But also at the same time, having a quality workout is possible without killing yourself, without doing too much. So feel it out. That is my answer. I can't tell you what is too much and what's not enough. Your body's gonna tell you. You know what I mean? You just have to see over time what your body responds best to. That's the honest answer. If anyone gives you an answer that is more rigid than that, they're full of shit. And that's the fucking truth, man. That is the truth. There's no way that they could know the answer to that question. There's no way. Dreaming XXL, hey champ, want to send big congratulations on your recent Scarlett, love very much. Thanks, Brandy. Thank you. Thanks for jumping on here. I know that's you. I'm looking at coming to an FSW show very soon. I don't have a date confirmed yet, but I'll keep people in Vegas posted. Read any questions, guys. Darth Raiders 24. Hey Cross, what is a good method to build your chest for better gains? So there will be a whole plethora of people in the health community that will disagree with me on this, but I'm going to tell you 2 exercises that nobody ever talks about enough to build your chest would be inside diamond push-ups, where you get your hands as close as you possibly can. Bang! Fucking diamond cutter this goddamn phone. Diamond right here at your sternum. No higher, no lower. You're gonna feel tension in your shoulders. It's not gonna feel very good. You're not gonna get the sort of contraction you need out of your chest. Push-ups all the way out off the floor from the inside. Not your stationary push-ups that you do from here, but from here. You're gonna be contracting the inside of the chest, the separation right here, and your front shoulders. It's a great way to build mass in the inside of your chest. Doing push-ups, diamond push-ups. At the top, locking your chest out. You're not just going up. You're trying to push through the floor, and you want to lock your chest. You want to lock your fucking chest. 5 sets of 12 with those. Measure how much rest you'll need between each set. You'll need a lot. It's a very difficult exercise for most people. And then the next one is gonna be cable flies. Beautiful part about cable flies too, you don't wanna use a huge weight. Cable flies is when you grab the cables are on the outside, they're up high like this. You're gonna bend over a little bit. You wanna try to keep your arm, believe it or not, as straight as possible. Like almost that straight. You can have a light bend in it, but you don't want anything more than that. Otherwise your shoulder's gonna take over. The straighter your arm, the better, which actually forces you to use a light weight. You wanna use a light weight with this because you could tear your fucking chest, your pectoral. You could tear it and then it'll roll up into your shoulder. Or you could wind up tearing ligaments and tendons out of your front shoulder. Lightweight, chest flies, cables. Here, grab them, and then straight arm, you're gonna bring them in front of you. And the trick here, this is a Ben Pakulski, I think I said his last name correctly. It's a Ben Pakulski tip. When you're bringing your arms together for the cable fly, you're squeezing your chest here. This is where the real work is beginning. Right when you get to here, you squeeze the chest together, you try to get your elbows to touch, which they probably will not, but that's the direction. You squeeze your chest so tight that you're trying to get the inside of your elbows to touch, and then you go back out. Inside diamond push-ups and cable flies for your chest. Great way to build your chest. Lots of size, lots of thickness, lots of depth. Does the inside sweep here, cable flies to the outside sweep. Notice how I didn't say bench press. Not everyone responds very well to bench press. Most people respond really fucking well to inside diamond push-ups and cable flies. My opinion. Major Bong Water, thank you for the raid. I saw that now. I know I'm late on that, but I read these questions and I go deep into them. Go deep. Yeah, DDP's got a great program for burning body fat, keeping down water retention, and keeping people strong, ligaments, tendons, joints, and stuff like that, helping mobility. That's legit shit. Oh, wow. Jinder Mahal. That can't be my real boy, Jinder. I know Raj very well. Well, there's someone on here named Jinder Mahal. Cross, opinions on Jim Cornette anointing you at one of the top 4 heels in all of WWE, including NXT. I was not aware of that. That's really fucking cool. If that's true, that he did that, I'm very flattered. I've never met Jim Cornette. When I was little, Jim Cornette drove me fucking crazy. I remember Jim Cornette from when I was a little kid. He was managing Yokozuna, Davey Boy Smith, and Owen Hart. And he had that tennis racket with the red jacket. And anytime the babyface was about to go over, Cornette come in with that fucking racket and ruin the whole thing. And I remember I was fucking throwing shit all over the place as a kid. He used to drive me up the wall. I've heard bits and pieces of his show from stuff that my friends send me on YouTube and stuff like that, and he doesn't pull any punches whatsoever. So if he did put me over, that's very kind of him, because I know he sure as fuck would not feel inclined to say anything positive about me unless he really felt that way. A lot of people are afraid in wrestling, whether they'll admit it or not, to be a real heel, to be really hated. I'm not exactly sure where that comes from. I would have to guess that maybe that's sort of a modern day social thing. People have this phobia, especially with social media, like the purpose of social media. It's whatever purpose you give it, right? But there is a functionality that social media serves, unfortunately, from a social standpoint, where people are attempting to want to become liked so they can get more followers, say the things that people are saying. There's this weird echo chamber fucking thing going on, and sometimes people exercising critical thinking gets them into deep shit because they say things that are offensive or that people don't agree with, and that doesn't work very well with the algorithms of being liked and whatnot, and then that stuff's taken out of confrontation, and suddenly you're the Antichrist on social media. I feel like some of that fear and phobia and butting heads, that this weird period that we're in right now, we're living through a unique period where we're the ones who were around at the beginning of social media, right? I feel like some of that has unfortunately like bled into wrestling, where some people legitimately, like, they want to be tweeners, like they want to be the cool bad guys. And if the crowd makes you that, that's one thing. But if you're attempting to cultivate that, you're not doing your baby face any favors whatsoever at all. You're really fucking your baby face over trying to be as likable as him, but you're going to do all the cool bad guy shit. You're going to romanticize and glorify it that he's not going to do. I approach wrestling from a little bit more of a traditional viewpoint of a white hat and a black hat. If I'm the bad guy, I will have little to no redeemable fucking traits. I'm gonna be a piece of shit, and I'm gonna make sure that everybody is behind my baby face in the ring, and I will allow people to think whatever the fuck they want about me, as long as they fucking hate me and that hatred supports the narrative of the show. I'm okay with that, because it's a fucking show, and I know who I am in real life. Some people, my opinion, they like who they play on TV more than who they are in real life. And I'm not throwing shade at anybody. It's just an observation I've had. I'm not making fun of those people. If I knew how to help those people, I would, whether I know them well or not. It's sad to me, but I feel like the more comfortable you are as a person, the person you know you are, the better you'll be at playing characters in the ring. I know people that get fucking shook by the heat that they are supposed to be attempting to acquire for the show. They're like, holy shit, like, oh, like, it's a fucking show. Like, you're supposed to be the bad guy. Like, I don't know, man. What's the worst thing? What's the worst fucking thing you're gonna do in a wrestling show to get heat? There's movies out there where the bad guy kills fucking kids. That's definitely not gonna happen in wrestling, and that's pretty fucking bad. There's not much worse that you're gonna do than that. Do you think those actors on the fucking set of the movie are like, oh, it says here in the script I gotta use a lightsaber to kill all these kids. I mean, are you fucking sure we need to go down that road? Yeah, because it's the fucking movie. I don't understand where there's a difference in any of that. Like, to me, this is a show, and these are the roles that we're playing, and I embrace them. And everyone has a different way of doing shit, but that's cool. That's cool that Cornette put me in there. I tried, you know. I tried to be an awful piece of shit. And yes, in the realm of social media, there are people that want to believe in that a little too fucking much, but that does not affect my life at all. And you can't allow that to be a weight that you carry, and then allow that to prevent your commitment into really being what you're supposed to be for the segment of the show. You know, like, it's crazy. You know, people said all kinds of crazy shit about me. I mean, online for years. I remember when I did the character on Impact, you know, I have a Greek mythology tattoo on my back. It's a depiction of Chiron. It's the son of Kronos. You know, and he has antlers. There's many different types of depictions of Chiron in Greek mythology. It's basically like a centaur. You know, there's a whole story about him. There's a constellation of Chiron in the sky and stuff. And his story, I related a lot with it at that period of time in my life, and I was interested in astrology at the time, so I decided to get it. A couple of the depictions I had saw, Chiron was wearing a helmet with antlers, and some people tried to take that out of context and say I was a fucking Satanist, which is the craziest thing ever. Like, that's a pretty big fucking reach. You know what I mean? Never once at any point did I think to myself, I'm gonna change the direction of my character because there's people online that are worried. I mean, that's fucking crazy. You know what I'm saying? So, and in this day and age, I just see a lot of people being very fearful to commit into being the bad guy. And I'm not one of those people, and it's cool that he acknowledged that. That's very cool. Wow, yeah, just following up with it. Yeah, Jim's top 4 heels were Roman Reigns, Walter Killerkross, and Bobby Lashley. That's pretty fucking cool. That's really cool. Again, gotta say thank you very much for all the congratulations about the wedding. Just seeing more of that. Frank Frazetta, thank you, bro. I knew you were gonna know. Oh, you butchered his name too? We're close. We're close. The Zeta is in there. I don't remember the first 3 letters of the name, but yeah. Oh, Streets of Rage 2 on Sega. That was a great game. Frazetta. Frank Frazetta. Amazing artist. Thank you. That's the one. Frazetta. Stressed Achilles, appreciate it. I'll get on that. Also, any weight loss tips? 25 years living like this, I don't want the next 25 to be the same. Couple bullet points. I feel like this is my specialty. Anyone that I've ever personally had a conversation with about losing weight, they've been at different stages, different ages, different pre and post injuries, diabetic, all kinds of shit. I've been able to sit down and have long conversations with people about this. I'm gonna tell you a couple things to cut out of your diet immediately, and a very, very, very simple thing to do no matter where you're fucking at, dude. You gotta do low intensity cardio 7 days a week. I said this earlier. I'm gonna hit this home again in case you weren't here or somebody else needs to hear this. Low intensity cardio 7 days a week. If your resting heart rate is 60 beats a minute, just gonna throw a random number out there. That's your heart beats once every second. If you can get your heart rate between 100 and 120 beats a second, and you can hold that within that range for 45 minutes doing cardio, elliptical, bike, walking on an incline. Make sure you have good shoes if you're doing that. You're gonna fucking break your feet down. You have a high arch, I have a high arch. I have inserts in my shoes. That is not on the extreme end of me telling you to get on a keto diet, do carnivore, and fucking train 7 days a week. That's not something you just jump into. And I fucking hate people who give out advice like that right off the bat. It's obnoxious. There are people out there that are like social media influencers and like Hollywood actors and shit that are like, you know, this is the way it's gotta be. You know, you just gotta go right in the deep end. That's not for everybody. That's not fucking for everybody. That might work for the intermediate athlete to go fucking psycho on a psycho program and do that, but that's just not realistic. People need to learn how to build a mentality to get there to do that. I don't know where you're at with everything going on right now, but I'll tell you, you wanna drop weight, cut out all your processed foods, cut out processed sugar. I won't tell you to cut out your carbs, although if you can keep them under 120 grams a day, that would be a really good start. Fruits and veggies. Cut out processed food, cut out processed sugar. I would cut out milk if you're drinking that. I'm not saying cut out dairy, I'm just saying cut out milk. Lots of hormones and processed shit in that probably are throwing off your metabolism. That might be slowing it down. Get your water intake up to almost a gallon of water a day if you can do it. If you can't, 6 to 8 bottles of water a day is excellent. And eat clean. And I will tell you right now, if you can do the 7 days a week and you can get rid of that shit out of your diet, that's a start. Do that for a month and a half. That's not on the extreme end of shit. So let's just say, let's pretend you were starting from zero. You're not even a person who goes to the gym or works out. If you can do that, what I just said, for at least a month and a half, you will begin to see a difference on the scale. You will begin to see a difference in your body composition. It won't be super extreme, but you gotta fucking start somewhere. But I know that you'll see a noticeable difference and you'll feel different too. That'll speed up your metabolism too. Low intensity cardio speeds up your metabolism, that's a fact. Start with that, and let's see where we're at. You'll think you can do more, and you're right, you probably can. But sometimes people go a little too hard in the beginning and they burn out very quickly. You know, there's a reason when guys are in fight camp, why they have to peak. If they went into like crazy fucking mode and redline their whole training camp for a fight, people train 3 months generally for a professional fight on television or pay-per-view. If they start at the highest level of intensity at their training camp and they try to hold that for 3 months, the guy's gonna get injured, he's gonna get fucking knocked out, he will burn out and he will have nothing left for the day of the fight. They peak and then they fight. The same way has to work with training, you know? That's the truth. If you're gonna be, it's not a race, it's a marathon. I just heard that recently from somewhere. I think it was my jiu-jitsu coach, David, said that to me. It's not a fucking race, it's a marathon. You can run real fast sometimes, but that's not the speed that you're gonna hold the entire time, and that's okay. That's okay. Even Olympic athletes have peaking seasons. Sometimes they go cold. There might be a couple months where they don't do shit. They disappear and go on vacation and drink margaritas. It's okay. But start with that, and let's see where we're at. There's no way good things will not come of that. Tusselmania with the critically important question. Post-jiu-jitsu ritual to avoid stiffness and soreness after getting stretched a bit. Epsom salt bath. I always have Epsom salt in our house. We use it actively. I eat my post-meal from jiu-jitsu in the fucking bathtub. I've got a tray that goes across my lap with Epsom salt and hot water. And I will not be sore the next day. Maybe a little bit, depending if somebody got me fucking good. Or if I was rolling super hard, I got into a scramble or something like that, it might be sore there in your core or something like that. But Epsom salt bath immediately after jiu-jitsu. If you don't have the salt, at least take the bath. The heat will help circulate blood into the areas to speed up recovery. And muscle tissue as well, depending on how much protein you're consuming post as well. Wyatt Meister wants to know, what's your best method on trying to overcome a long-term childhood fear? I have a cousin who has been afraid of dogs like pit bulls, German shepherds, and Rottweilers, just to name a few. Well, real fucking fear is something that can make people irrational. We're not talking about somebody who's like afraid of fucking spicy peppers, you know. They can be in the room, but people aren't gonna put them in their mouth because, you know, they have a fear, or like they're spooked out that it's gonna burn their mouth. Like real fear can make people irrational. So, you know, when somebody says they're afraid of spiders and they see a little fucking spider on the wall, they throw shit and they freak out and like might blow their shoulder. And there's like this whole physical detachment from their fucking mind. Real fear is something that, unfortunately, like if you're talking about childhood trauma, I don't think that there's a playbook for that. A person has to go at their own speed in overcoming what that is. I can tell you, I had a childhood fear of deep open water, and I enjoy finding out what my limitations are, but I don't enjoy knowing that I have them. And so I begin to like to work on those when I find out that I have them, if I care enough to feel like I need to develop in that direction. And you know, Scarlett was always telling me she would go scuba diving and snorkeling and she'd swim in ocean water. And I was like, she'd talk about how amazing it was. I'm terrified of all that shit. I grew up with Jaws. All right, bro? I don't want to get fucking eaten by a shark, you know? That's just, I don't want to be digested and then vomited out as shark shit to fertilize the ocean floor to be eaten by crabs. This is not for me. For some people, it's for them. For me, it's just not that important for me to put on all that gear to be fucking eaten by something. So I'd rather skip that. However, everyone that I've talked to that's done this type of stuff, it's life-changing. they're engaging and participating with this whole other world on our planet. And I can, beyond my bullshit, I can appreciate that a lot. And so when her and I were in Thailand, I was in a place in my life where I didn't want any more blocks in my life. You guys ever heard of chakras? Like with yoga and stuff like that, those points. CHARKAS. You guys ever heard of that shit? I was learning about all that stuff and meditation. And I had a few breakthroughs before I was in Thailand, and then I got on this succession of momentum of breaking through my own shit. And I was really enjoying it. And one of the things on that list was, my fear of deep water. Like when I was a little kid and we would go to a lake in Canada, I would jump off the dock into the water, and the moment I would land in the water, every fucking time I'd go into panic and I would fucking just scramble as hard as I could to get back up on the dock. I was so fucking positive something was in the water to kill me. And there's no fucking way anyone can tell me otherwise, because you can't see the bottom. I was not gonna take someone else's word, rationally in my mind, that this was not stupid and dangerous. But I'd still jump in the water just for the fuck of it, because I like jumping off shit. And that bothered me, in the place that I was in. I really wanted to get over it. So we went to this place, and we went to many places in Thailand, but one of the places we went to was called the Phi Islands. Think I'm making that shit up? Look it up, motherfuckers. The place is really called the Phi Islands. It's Phi Islands. All the fucking things to call an island, they called it Phi. So there we were, the Phi Islands. One of the most beautiful places in the world, and there's fucking monkeys everywhere, and there's this crystal clear water. We're on a yacht, and there are all these people on the yacht, tourists and stuff like that. We're learning about the culture, geographical locations of Thailand, and it's the most beautiful water I've ever seen in my life. And it's warm. It's warm ocean water. And it was about 20 feet deep, but the water was so crystal clear, clean, and unfucked with by humans. You could see straight to the bottom. And I look out in a few 100-yard radius all around the yacht, and I don't see anything in the water, just little fish. And I was like, fuck this. I don't want to live with this fear anymore. And I told Scarlett that, and she's like, you're gonna do it? And I was like, yeah. And so I climbed up on the boat, and she filmed it, and I did a backflip off the fucking boat into the water. And it felt amazing when I got into the water. And I very calmly swam back to the yacht, and then I jumped off again, and it felt amazing. And to let that go, that's how I chose to deal with it. But that was a place that I put myself in to be ready to get over that. That was not a place anyone was gonna be able to put me in. So pertaining to people having a fear of fucking dogs and stuff like that, if you're trying to help somebody get over it, you're gonna need their full interest and cooperation and compliance to be able to do that. You're not gonna be able to just fucking, like, hey, come here, I wanna show you this dog. You can't put them near the dog, however you do that. I know you wouldn't do that, but like, I don't know how you'd be able to help someone else get over it. If it's your shit and not somebody else's, it sounds like you're in a place where you're interested in getting over it. Maybe go to a fucking pet store and deal with those dogs that you're afraid of when they're puppies. I don't know, does that sound crazy? Would you be able to do that? And I'm not being condescending. I don't understand the level of fear that you have of these animals. I'm asking genuinely. Could you see yourself being near these animals while they're small and easy to handle and not fucking freaked out? They're babies, so you can pick them up and hold them. That might be a good way to get near that fear and learn how to unwind that. You start with baby steps, right? Not everybody can just backflip off the fucking boat, figuratively and literally, right? But that's where I was at. I became so frustrated with my own shit. I was like, I'm getting rid of it. I'm out of this now. And then 2 or 3 years later, I actually went snorkeling in the Gulf of Mexico, which I will not lie to you guys, a tough guy, this shit scared the living shit out of me. But I went snorkeling with her, Daniel Vito, Zion Quinn, and his wife Danny, and it was fucking awesome. I was terrified the entire time, but I fucking did it. I snorkeled. And it was a really, really good experience for me. But I don't think I'm gonna do it again. I think I did it, and I'm good with it. I had the experience, nothing bad happened. Probably not gonna do it again. Not to say I won't go swimming in the ocean again, but that's kind of how I dealt with it and did all that shit. Hope that helped. Just reading all your stuff, guys. Mary Junior 88, thank you for the sub. Thank you. Ash Cruz wants to know, do you still have your Christmas tree up? No, I took it down. Took it down a few weeks ago. I took down all the Christmas decorations. It was very sad. The house felt a little bare, so I'm keeping my eye out for new art and stuff like that that'll complement the vibe. No more fucking Christmas tree. It got a little ridiculous. The Christmas tree was up at the end of March, and I was like, okay, it's not Christmas anymore, you know. It's not Christmas anymore. And then I cried. And the tears, they froze on my face. And then I peeled them off, and I looked at them. And I said to the frozen tear, I said, fuck you. And then I put the Christmas stuff away. It's gone. Scarlett has run a bath. She has been waiting for me for quite some time. It's gonna be time for me to go. We're gonna do this again next week. I keep saying Monday, but then jiu-jitsu runs late and then I can't get out of the bathtub and finish my food in time. So perhaps, let's say Wednesday at 11:15 next week. And if something changes, I will get on Twitter and I will notify you guys. Fun as always. Always laughing my ass off with you guys. You guys are fucking hilarious. You're awesome. Great questions tonight. We covered a pretty big spectrum of stuff. We covered post-recovery. We've covered muscle development, weight loss, talked a little bit of shit, got silly, touched a little bit on mental health. I will come up with a good subject matter. I think it's gonna be mental health based next week. I think what I would like to do, I hope that I have the headspace for it to go super deep into it. At one point, I had studied to become a family mediator, which covered a variety of different subjects like human development, child development, psychology, sociology, substance abuse, identifying and screening for power imbalances in people. I covered a bunch of stuff. It was a bunch of crash courses that were courses that were developed by the University of Waterloo and the Conrad Grebel College, which is basically like the College for Peace and Conflict. It's a big, crazy institute. Barbara Lando was one of the main people there. She was very big in her field for psychology and being able to help people. Long story short, I have an education in that type of stuff, and I would like to try to find a way to discuss learning how to identify socially and and possibly in a practical manner, how to identify deceptions and misdirections from people. It would be fucking really cool if I could find a way to develop some sort of stream here next week where we discuss that. Being able to feel when you're being lied to, when you're being misdirected, and when people are trying to, you know, play you into a deception. I think that would be very cool. That's something that most people, pretty much all people, whether they realize it or not, have to deal with at one point or another. I would fucking love to see if I can get into something like that. I'll try to review some of my notes. I haven't reviewed them in a very long time, but I think it would be an interesting subject matter that we could get into where everyone, again, it's a thing that everyone could get into. I can give you my thoughts on the subject and perhaps a story or two if I feel like it's required on situations and scenarios in life where I was working with people or dealing with people and I felt that something was off, and how I dealt with that and how you could potentially deal with similar situations. So, but thank you for tuning in. It'll be extra crispy, prop. And again, thank you for all the congratulations as well. So we're excited for the future. I still have more surprises. And perhaps they shall unveil themselves in the next 2 or 3 weeks. Who knows? We'll see. Keep you posted. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you very much for tuning in, guys, as always. Have a great sleep tonight, and see you soon.